where we say no to religious bigotry. This is the time. If there was ever a time when we say no to divisiveness, this is that moment. So I am so delighted to be here tonight to celebrate the lighting of the Hanukkah candles with you, and to once again reaffirm our belief in an America where justice and freedom and religious freedom applies to all people, and to stand united to wipe out all forms of racism, discrimination, and bigotry. Thank you all very much.
You know, this is Sanders, a day after, I believe it was a rabbi killing, lighting the menorah. He's in Iowa. One of the things that I don't think he gets enough credit for has to do with his ability to bring people together. Now, in 2016, when he was running against Hillary Clinton, an argument that some people made against Sanders was, well, I mean, people are just lopping on to him as an anti-Hillary vote, as if he wasn't necessarily a thing unto himself, that those people weren't necessarily being brought by him into the process, but only because he's opposing something else. In this particular election, there were, 22 people, 22 viable candidates that's running in the race, including 2 billionaires, and he is still selling out stadiums. 14,000 people in California, tens of thousands in some of the other stadiums across the United States. And there are, again, 22 people in the race. Sanders is 1 and 2 in all of these initial states. He's 1 or in number 2 in the average polling across for the nationals. And all things being equal, Warren in the race is cutting into his base. Meaning all of this is taking place with him still replicating what he did in 2016 with the added, you can call it cutting to the base of somebody who's aping him, meaning Warren, and he's still in number 2. He's been able to keep his base together, and not just keep his base together, expand. The interesting thing here is, if I'm right, and if that's true, you should be able to see it in several, let's say, materialistic factors. Meaning there should be some feedback mechanism that gives you this notion that, yeah, you're right. The guy is either surging or at the very least maintaining. He's in the number 2 spot, and the person who's below him has started to decline, despite still eating to some degree into his numbers. You can see it in the polling, but you can also see it in the financial numbers. So the New York Times puts out Biden rebounds, Warren slows, Sanders rolls, the latest on the 2020 money race. My argument for the last few months has been that Sanders is surging, Warren is collapsing, and that this race is between Sanders and Biden. Well, the financial numbers, to some degree, gets that across and bolsters that opinion that much more. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support. PayPal, Patreon, even $1 helps because this content is brought to you by you. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, I did a video where Warren puts out a desperate plea for support. Help! I need cash, dog. I need cash. The entire email could have just said that. Help! I'm broke, dog. I need cash. Now, she's not broke. She's raised $17 million. The catch here is, in the last quarter, Warren raised $24.6 million. That is a 20% drop, meaning she's only asking to get to 20 million. I just need to get to 20 million. Just let me get to 20 million. I'm at 17 million. It's going to look horrible if I can't make this 20 million bar. But even at 20 million, that is still 4.6 million less than what she made in Q4. Warren is running the campaign based on grassroots fundraising. Now, she did this because, again, she needs to be a one-to-one, or at the very least seem to be, or appear to be, very similar, if not a one-to-one with Sanders, with the added bonus of not having had a heart attack, not having a vagina, and being a little bit younger. Meaning, if I can make people think that I'm him, and I have these other added benefits, then I'm in. And so, yeah, this does cut into his numbers to some degree. The catch here is that this facade is to some degree falling away. You have Buttigieg eating into one side of her base, this kind of white liberal class. But you have Sanders eating to the other side. And a lot of this has to do with the disingenuousness that took place when she finally revealed her Medicare for All plan that was basically a public option. That I'm going to fight for Medicare for all in 3 years with a weaker Congress when I have no chance of getting it passed. So she fell away. Her polling dropped. And when her polling dropped, Sanders also went up. He was on the upswing. He was on the surge. The thing here is, if Warren is falling away, and Warren and Buttigieg are kind of fighting off of the same blood vein to some degree, that means this race is really just about Sanders and Biden. That Warren and Buttigieg getting into these fights that they're having establishes them two fighting for who's going to be in fourth place. With, again, by definition, that means Biden and Sanders are in a league of their own. Now, the individual states may do something different on that, but that's just how the race is shaping up. The catch here is, if she is dependent upon fundraising, grassroots fundraising for her financial gains, if she's falling in the polls, then you should also see a corresponding drop in her fundraising. And that's what you see. Anything can happen between now, I suppose, and the 31st. We have a whole day. So don't misunderstand me. This number could blow up. Her base could be like, oh, God, we got to help her out. We got to help her out. We don't want her to look bad. So whatever. The entire point of sending out an email like this is to instill that reaction. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Q4. The second one, Sanders. Sanders has raised $26 million so far in Q4 and hopes to hit $28.4 million by the end of the year. Now, the thing here is there are days, just one day, where Sanders will bring in over $1 million. It's mind-boggling, the amount of donations. He's on pace to hit, I think, 5 million individual donations. Like, it's extraordinary. Nobody's even close. Joe Biden, on this case, got a bump. So Joe Biden, meanwhile, he only raised $15.7 million the last quarter. But in this quarter, he set to at least hit $21.5 million, meaning he's going to hit more than what he made in this first quarter and coming into the race. Now, again, that makes sense. If I'm right and the race is tightening between essentially Biden and Sanders and people are kind of making their choices in that gain of, all right, these two look like they're the two. Sanders has been stable the entire race. He seemed to be on the upswing. Biden, for whatever reason, has not gone anywhere. He's just sitting there. He's a weak front runner, but he's a front runner. At the very least, people say they'd vote for him. Again, that's electability that can change. But at the very least, people looking at it now said, yeah, that's our guy. We'll vote for that guy. Then it means that people who didn't necessarily love Biden may start liking him a little bit more. And people who loved Sanders but were Elizabeth Warren curious or Buttigieg curious will come home. And you see that race and the finances on that race tighten to the people who they think are more electable for them. So by definition, on that case, if Warren is getting her money from small dollar donations, then you would see her fundraising just by definition go down. The catch here is Yang. Yang has actually been doing quite good in this. He's gotten people to give him a lot of money so he can allow those Medicare for All ads. Besides the race 4 polling leaders, Andrew Yang, the businessman and there aren't 4. There are only 3 at most. For fuck's sake. Stop it with the Buttigieg stuff. Buttigieg has like 0% of African American support. And you're shoving him down my throat as if he's an actual contender. In many of these states, he doesn't even have out of more than single digits. Until Buttigieg gets at least 5% of the black vote, he's not a thing. I'm sorry. This is you guys trying to create a narrative. But, okay, in the first few states, he is a thing, so fair enough. In the two whitest states where he's getting 90% white support, yes. In those states, he's a thing. Come back to me when he's something else in those other states. Besides the race's 4 polling leaders, Andrew Yang, the businessman who has surprised political observers with his staying power and devoted online following he's affectionately called Yang Gang, is expected to be the only other contender to crack 10 million raised in the fourth quarter. We expect to raise more than 12.5 million, at least 25% more than the previous quarter, said S.Y. Lee, a spokesman for Mr. Yang. Well, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. That said, Yang will not be on the debate stage coming up next month. At least not up to this point. To put this in a better format, the following 5 candidates have qualified for January debates: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and Amy Klobuchar. What the hell is Amy Klobuchar doing? How is that woman still... How is she in the debates? She's still there, so fair enough. She's still there. Amy Klobuchar has staying power. She has staying power. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. All right, I'm not going to keep this long. I just wanted to give a heads up on what's going on. What the hell is Amy? Yeah, I have no idea how she's still there. She's still there. I hear nothing about her at all when I'm looking through the news and whatnot, and yet she's still there. To be fair to her, she did great in the last debate, so don't misunderstand me. This is not a ding on her. But, Jesus Christ, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing. She got staying power. She has staying power. Good for you, Klobuchar. You do what you do. All right. Sorry, Jamal. He has 98% support from the black community. They didn't return the mailers. All right. And that's another thing with Buttigieg. How does the media not rake him over the coals for that? Like, look, when African Americans make this point of, it seems that shit happens to us and nobody cares, it's stuff like this. Buttigieg flagrantly got 400 people who he implied were black. You find out half were white. And the top 4 that he was using, one guy was an out and out, running in the daylight Sanders supporter. And the other 3 were not supporting Buttigieg at all. Meaning none of the top 4 that he put in that mailer were supporting him. I mean, and the media just said, he's trying to do what he needs to do. How do you not rake him over the coals for that? How do you not rake him over the coals for that? I can't stand him. I can't stand him. There's a smug Obama-esque thing that comes across with him. Not to mention he's full of shit when he's talking about things. And he puts it in this political language in order to lie to whoever he's talking to. I mean, the Medicare for All stuff, people are going to lose their health care. That's like saying by instituting public schools, people are going to lose their ability to go to school. It's nonsense. I mean, even the way he talks about billionaires are going to pay. We don't think that they should pay for your kids, for their kids to go to school. He's not talking about billionaires and billionaires being excluded from his program. He exudes a particular fakeness that I can't stand. Can't stand him. If that was Bernie, mainstream media would be like, drop out. Yes, they would be like, Bernie needs to drop out. I keep asking the question, is it anti-Semitic and even a little sexist for Warren to remain in the race? I mean, after all, I'm 50% of the sex, meaning men. And it seems like Sanders has better plans. He's more trusted. He's considered to be more honest and more authentic. People trust him more on immigration, environment, healthcare, even back and forth on economy, as opposed to Warren. And if she really wants to, have this big revolutionary change of sorts, wouldn't she just drop out and support Sanders And is she in this race? Isn't it a little bit sexist that she's remaining in this race and a little bit anti-Semitic that she's remaining in this race, considering that she's pretending to be this other guy who the public has, for the most part, declared this is what we like. And he's clearly far ahead in the polls and she's been declining by like 10 points. I'm just asking. I'm not saying it myself. I had friends who told me that. Jewish friends who said that. And, female or male friends who said that. So I'm just putting it out there. Like, share, subscribe.